Thank you again, Brad. That's very helpful. And Brad's been doing the travel to South by Southwest for several years now, so he knows quite a bit about the details. So again, if you need any more information about your trip, just get in touch with Brad. And there's some good info up on Phil Tripp's website, southbysouthwest.com.au.
I was going to say that, and I think Brad touched on it, most of the prime hotels, everything is booked through South by Southwest. So it's all booked out. So if you haven't booked, there's places to stay, but get on it. You need to get on that now.
There are also houses and condos downtown or very close to downtown that you can rent.
Actually, a good place to go is vrbo.com.
Yes.
Say it again.
vrbo.com. If you guys want, it's vacation rentals by owner, and it's just local people who may want to rent you their house. Rent you their house. Better word. Rent you their house for the time, and it's a website that kind of unites all vacation rentals all over the U.S. and they have every city. So they probably have Austin, and I use it for my vacation rentals. It's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be careful of one thing, the Craigslist scam. We've had this a lot, especially in New York and other places where people put a deposit down on something and they show up and that address doesn't exist. And they've gotten really clever where you can Google map it and see you can see the location and you show up and it's abandoned or something. So just be careful of that. But there are all these other legitimate sites.
Perhaps go through an actual real estate agent. There are lots of people in Austin that rent their homes and condos and apartments for the whole week or 2 weeks that it happens. And you can find some. I've actually stayed in a condominium before when I booked late one year, and it was quite nice and walking distance to everything. So
just getting back to kind of setting yourself up to go there. We talked about finding the industry people that you want to target through the South by Southwest site. I think that's your best bet. What do you guys think about reaching out to industry people sort of blindly? You can find almost any email address. You can find a directory. You can do your homework. Say, in the licensing community or the A&R world. I mean, how do you respond to getting an email saying, hey, I'm going to South by Southwest. Check me out, man.
Yeah, I usually will click a link. I mean, it would be weird if they said, check me out, man. That might turn me.
So check me out. What do you delete? Do you care? Are you annoyed with getting your inbox filled up, or is it something like, hey man, I'll give it a look, or are you overwhelmed?
As long as you send a stream, don't send a download because our email boxes are notoriously small. But yeah, send a stream. I love that. It gives me an intro, and maybe it's a band I'll check out if I like the music. But
I should interject here that there's a difference between music supervisors in the film and TV world and the A&R world. This is my opinion, which is basically music supervisors in the film and TV world are generally more receptive to cold emails and cold calls. It just sort of is the way that it works. And I think culturally in the A&R world, and it just has never worked that way, and it still doesn't really work that way. So I think it generally, tends to be more accepted with music supervisors and probably more expected that they're going to receive random emails from random artists and bands. And I really do think music supervisors usually tend to check that stuff out more than the A&R reps who are getting random.
Well, yeah, we're music supervisors are. Oh, somebody left. That's sad. Music supervisors have we have less skin in the game when we are looking at a band. We just care mostly that, hey, that sound works for what we're working on, or this is a band I want to check out. A&R guys, there's, like Rico said, you need a lot more of a story there. You need a lot more of a pitch. So yes, there are differences.
So would you recommend, just generally speaking, for the average music supervisor?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is it a good idea to send them an email? Maybe you find who they are on the South by Southwest site. Do your homework, do your research, find their email. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm coming down, and what would you put in that email?
Yeah, I would make sure, like I said before, you're finding somebody who works on shows that your music's appropriate for. I can't stress that enough. My show does not use much female singer-songwriter or a lot of smoothed-out R&B or whatever. And so to contact, like I got contacted by a woman yesterday whose website that I sent the link to was a woman dressed like Dolly Parton in 1974. This is clearly not something that is targeting the correct person. So as long as you're doing your homework and you know what to expect or a concept of what shows are on, I think that's a great way to expose yourself, as long as you're polite, brief. Don't send MP3s, send streams. Just let us know where you're playing. That's the easiest way to do it. But that is just for the music supervisors. Like I said, A&R is a tougher nut to crack.
For the A&R community, I mean, a lot of us really do. Someone, at least in the department, is going through the whole schedule, listening to everything, making sort of master lists of who should at least maybe keep an eye on, or have someone check out the show and things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, you can reach out to people. Don't expect any reply or necessarily someone to show up, but if there's, like I said, any talking points that would catch someone's attention, touring history, bands you've toured with, any radio history, sales figures in Australia, anything notable that you can just put in 2 lines and preface it with, here's our shows at South by, here's the 3 shows that we're doing at South by. Chances are we're going to hear by Thursday or Friday of all the bands that have played already that are playing again that we need to see. With from guys like Daryl or guys like Casey or Peter, they'll run into us and say, "Did you see so and so?" And no, we need to see it, and we'll probably be at that show based on someone's recommendation.
So couldn't hurt. Keep it brief. Don't expect a reply, but it might be worth a shot to find out who's going. And again, you can see that through the South by Southwest site. And do your homework and try to find their email addresses and send them some brief emails with your show info, some links to your MySpace and website, and some bullet points. So another thing that I really recommend for bands and industry is the panels at South by Southwest. We were all, starting out at one point. I used to go to those panels and I would soak up so much information, and it's a really amazing place to get the top level industry people and other artists. And I went to a panel and Slash was speaking on it, or Seymour Stein, or some veteran people are there talking about great with a lot of history, or just people that are knowledgeable and accessible. And go to the panels, go to as many as you can, and it's also for your knowledge, and it's also a place to network, not necessarily to brush the stage, but
people do that, and generally for a limited period, they will sit and chit-chat with you after.
Or you might see that person out, again, having a beer later that week, say, "Hey, I saw your panel. You were awesome. Thank you. I like what you said." And so you can network with them potentially, and then even the people that are attending the panels are other industry people, other bands. Again, it's networking at all angles, at all levels. Go to the panels.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think the panels are sort of like the most undervalued part of the conference, and something that people frequently forget about. And with bands and artists that I meet with, specifically when talking about the film and TV community, I mean, I actually think that for any major conference here in the U.S. and probably outside the U.S., there now is usually at least one panel that's focused on film and TV, for instance, because it's something that everybody wants to know about and everybody wants to do is get their music placed in film and TV. And it's a great place to go, like Pete was saying, and learn what these panelists are looking for and the process by which they go to find music. Same with A&R reps who are on the panels. And it's a good place to also introduce yourself if it's appropriate, and usually it is. So I think it's definitely something to look into attending.
So we talked about, so after the panel, a lot of people rush the stage. Hey, you were great. Here's my CD. And I don't know if that's totally effective. You might have a little window to do that, but kind of.
Yeah, just kind of on the CD.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some flack for this in the past, but I think most people kind of agree with me. You don't want to end up going back to, in our case, LA with just a grip load of CDs. They never make it back. You're trying to pack light. At the end of the, you're tired and you're exhausted. The best way to get somebody music is literally go, "Can I have your email? I'll send you a stream. I'll send you how you can access the music." And I've gotten to the point where, and hopefully I say this in a charming enough way where I don't seem like a jerk, but I'm like, I really appreciate, I would love to listen to music, but it's not going to make it back to LA with me. And if it does, it'll be in a million pieces. Just here's my info. Please email me something. So, and I think it's better for you guys because you're not lugging around CDs in the unpredictable, either hot or wet or rainy or cold Austin weather. So, if somebody doesn't want to take your CD, it doesn't mean they don't want to listen to music. It means they don't want to be like carrying stuff around all day. So, and cargo pants aren't nearly as fashionable as they used to be. So, I would really, stress that find a way to get in touch with them and get their music to them after the fact.
If you ask them for a business card and they don't have one, say, hey, what's your email? Write it down. Have a pen. Again, it's a good point. That's where I was segueing. Don't lug around a lot of CDs. It's expensive to you don't want to spend all that money producing CDs. You don't want to have to check them. You don't have to weigh down your luggage. Have one or two of them in your backpack. Have a couple of them around in case somebody really wants one. I'm sure other bands are going to want them more than industry people. So have your CDs, but don't bring too many of them and don't worry about it. And same with merch. This is not a merch deal where you're going to set up 10 T-shirts and hoodies and, thong underwear, whatever it is. I'm thinking of merch items, whatever. You're going to go, maybe bring a couple T-shirts, but I wouldn't even really recommend it. This isn't where you're going to...
There's no places to sell merch. I mean,
it's not
literally,
really.
Your showcase, you're there, you've got your 30 or 35, 40 minutes. There's really no booths to sell. Maybe have a buddy of yours
walking around. You can sell some CDs, maybe.
Maybe some CDs.
Come see us after the show. We'll sell you a CD because there are a lot of fans there and kids. So have your CDs at your shows. Have a box of them on hand.
Have a clipboard with somebody wandering around. Hey, get your email for your email list. But yeah, this isn't your typical show. This is you want to go lean and mean. And
here's something that I've seen that has worked for bands in a non-industry capacity, because you also want to try to make an impact. There are lots of just music fans attending, lots of college students, kids, people from everywhere that are coming to see all of the shows. So, if you're a manager or an artist and you use a service like a Topspin or even something like a Bandcamp or something like that, have download cards, because they're only the price of business cards. You can carry 1,000 of them with you. You can have some CDs to sell at shows, but if there's a bunch of kids hanging out at your daytime performance sometime early in the week, just go and hand them all free download cards. Because they're going to go home, they're going to log on their computer, download it, start listening to it, and tell all their friends about it to come to your next one that week. So
those are good for fans. Industry, not as much.
Industry won't care about
we won't care about that, but fans, I think that's a really good point.
So check out Drop Cards. I think it's dropcards.com. They make them. You can design them. They turn them around quickly, and they're pretty cheap. So, again, the key is you don't want to lug around a lot of stuff, DVDs. It's not worth it. On the industry side, get people's business cards, get their info. Yeah, you should have business cards also. It couldn't hurt, with your website address, your MySpace, your name, your number, your email, in case anyone wants to get a hold of you. You were awesome. I want to find you. Well, here's my business card. There you go. And have some CDs on hand in case someone wants one or fans want to buy them, but you don't want to be giving those out. It's going to waste money. And you don't want to carry it around.
And meet as many of the other bands that you think are cool as you can, because that's where so many things happen with inter-band relationships that supersede, label or agent or manager even sometimes. So if you're a band from Australia and you meet a really great band from LA who's in town playing South by Southwest, and they say, we've always wanted to come to Australia to play, and you guys in Australia do really well touring, we can say, well, why don't we swap some shows sometime in the future? The next thing you know, they could be the next Band of Horses or Coldplay or something, and it could really, be a relationship that comes to fruition later.
Yeah, be social. But I mean, that's something that you guys are probably already doing in Australia, but you should definitely be doing it at South by as well, because that's going to be your way into playing in different cities here in the States.
Another thing is along those lines is, okay, you're going to get the lineup of who you're playing on your showcases. Reach out to those bands. There's some band from Canada. There's some band from the U.S. There's some band from Finland. Whatever. They're coming. You're going to be on these different bills. Hit up their MySpace or email. Say, hey, we're playing with you guys. We like how you sound. Just kind of develop that relationship in advance. So when you get down there, you guys are cool. Also, listen to some of the bands that are booked there, and maybe reach out to them, and you're just going to make friends. And, in my experience working with Australians, I'm telling you, in general here, Australians have an amazing reputation, and people like Aussies. So
talk a lot, because then we'll know you're Australian.
It's going to set you apart. It's going to set you apart. And people are going to say, hey, these are my, meet other bands. You're going to meet bands from all over, say, the U.S. Now they have friends in Australia, and they want to come, and they want to know you, and they want to hang out with you. So make those connections. And again, those are the things that sort of last long after South by Southwest is done. Those are relationships, and that's also along the lines of more networking.